So there's this dove that's been showing up on my fence every single morning for like 3 weeks now. Same spot, same time, almost like it's waiting for something. And the other day, I actually watched it, really watched it, and noticed something I've never noticed before. It wasn't eating. It wasn't even moving much. It was just sitting there, staring at my window. And I'm going to be honest, that's when I went down a rabbit hole on mourning doves that I was not prepared for. Because this bird, the one most of us walk past every single day, is doing things that don't add up with how boring it looks. Stick around, because the last thing I found out about this bird genuinely stopped me mid-scroll. Okay, so first, let's talk about that sound. You know the one, that low, kind of sad coo, ooh, ooh in the morning. I used to think that was an owl, swear to God, for years. Turns out, nope, that's the mourning dove. And it's not even sad, it's not mourning anything. It's a contact call. The males do it to basically say, hey, I'm here, to other doves nearby. People actually call wildlife hotlines thinking they've got an owl problem, and it's just a very committed dove. If you're new here and you're into this kind of wait what bird stuff, might as well subscribe now, because this whole channel is basically me going, wait what? About birds. Anyway, back to my fence-sitting dove. I started noticing it wasn't alone. There were two taking turns. One would fly off, the other would sit. Then they'd switch. And I thought, okay, that's a nest, that's normal bird stuff. Except then I looked up what a mourning dove nest actually looks like, and it's bad. Like, genuinely bad. We're talking a few twigs, loosely stacked. Sometimes you can see the eggs straight through the bottom of it. No rim, no structure. Eggs can just roll off. Compare that to a house finch nest, tight, woven, actually engineered, and a mourning dove nest looks like it gave up halfway through. There's a photo that goes around every spring of a dove nest built on a car. On the hood, like 5 sticks, 2 eggs, parent just sitting there like, this is fine. It is not fine. But it works anyway, because, and this is the part that got me, they're terrible builders, but somehow incredible parents. They barely ever leave those eggs. They just sit, constantly. Bad nest, full commitment. So I'm watching this pair, kind of charmed by how dedicated they are despite the world's worst home building skills, and then I noticed the male doing something I genuinely could not explain at first. He'd land, get real close to the nest, and do this little head-bobbing thing toward the chicks, almost like he was feeding them. Except I didn't see any seeds in his beak. I actually paused and rewound the footage in my head later going, wait, what is he feeding them? Turns out, it's not seeds. Not at first, anyway. It's something called crop milk. And I want to be clear, I thought this was a typo when I first read it. The crop is this little pouch near a bird's throat where food gets stored before digestion. In mourning doves, and only a small handful of other birds, pigeons, flamingos, that pouch can actually produce a thick, protein and fat-rich liquid. Looks kind of like cottage cheese from what I've read. And for the first few days of a chick's life, that's the entire diet, not seeds. Milk. From the throat. And here's the part that really got me. It's not just the mom. The dad makes it too. Both parents take turns feeding the chicks this stuff, beak to beak. So that head bobbing thing I saw, that was feeding time. Just not the kind I expected. I've watched birds my whole life and never once thought milk would come up. Okay, have you ever seen a bird do something at your feeder that made you go, wait, why is it doing that? Drop it in the comments. I actually want to know. So once I knew about the crop, a few other things started making sense, like why mourning doves just camp out at feeders for 10 minutes straight while every other bird waits around the edges annoyed. I always figured they were just slow eaters, hogging the spot. Nope, they're loading the crop, filling it up fast, then flying off somewhere quiet to actually digest later. One was recorded with over 17,000 seeds in its crop. At once, that's a bird the size of a small lemon carrying a teaspoon's worth of seeds crammed into its throat. And daily, they eat something like 12 to 20% of their own body weight. If a person did that, you'd be eating 30+ pounds of food in a day. So yeah, Next time one's hogging your feeder, it's not bad manners, it's just bird math. Now here's where it gets kind of unsettling in a good way. That same dove, round, a little sleepy-looking, waddling under the feeder, I assumed it was slow, like, objectively, a slow bird. It is not. Mourning doves can hit 55 miles an hour when something spooks them. That's faster than a Cooper's hawk chasing it, faster than most things actually trying to eat it. And that sharp whistling sound their wings make when they launch off fast, that's not random either. It's basically an alarm. Other doves hear it and take off before they've even seen what scared them. One bird panics, the whole group's airborne in a second. So at this point, I've found out this boring bird makes milk, builds terrible houses, and can outrun a hawk. I figured that was the ceiling. That was the weird stuff. Then I found the age thing. If you ask me to guess how long a mourning dove lives, I would have said 3 years, maybe 5. They just don't seem built for the long haul. The oldest known mourning dove on record lived over 30 years, banded by researchers in 1968, found again by a hunter in Florida in 1998. 30 years, 30 winters, thousands of mornings probably, doing exactly what mine's doing on my fence right now. Now, most don't get anywhere close to that. Predators, weather, cars, windows, most don't make it past 2 or 3 years to be fair. But the fact that even one did it changes how I look at the one on my fence. That bird might not be some random visitor. It might have been showing up in this neighborhood longer than I've lived here. So yeah, that dove I keep seeing isn't just sitting there doing nothing. It's possibly raising chicks on milk it makes in its own throat, building the worst nest in the yard and somehow making it work, capable of outrunning hawks if it needed to, and, for all I know, older than my car. I genuinely didn't expect a fence bird to humble me like this. If you've got a bird that does something at your place that doesn't add up, I want to hear about it in the comments. I read all of them. And if you liked this one, there's another bird I covered recently that honestly surprised me even more. I'll drop it right after this.